I feel like I should put lipstick on. How's everybody today?
Excellent.
Good, good. Good to see you. Trying to get my notes.
We're live.
Hey, everybody. I would like to say Happy May Day. It is Wednesday, May 19th, and welcome to another session of our Story Slam. Our story slam today, the topic is Respect Your Mother. I'm right now looking for my notes. I have them. I'd like to welcome everyone. I'd like to remind you that we are sponsored by, or rather we're produced by Freetown Village and Storytelling Arts of Indiana. And we would love to thank our sponsors, Jim Obermaier and Sally Perkins, the Nicholas Noyes Jr. Memorial Foundation, and as usual, our media sponsor, WFYI. Hello, everybody, again. Now, I'm just going to remind you of the rules as I find my lipstick to put on, or turn my light on, or whatever. I don't want y'all to see too much because I'm so cute. Pandemic pose. At any rate, these stories must be told in the first person. They must be true. And the theme is respect your mother. Your tale should not be any longer than 5 minutes. If they're longer than 5 minutes, our scorekeeper will start taking points away from your story. And I don't know if you remember the fantastic prizes we have, but first place, $50. Second place, $25. And our third place winner is $10. Now, I would like to thank our judges. We have Michelle Goodrich. Hi, Michelle. We have Alice Manley and Becky Ryder. And our timekeeper is Ophelia Wellington. So thank you so much. We couldn't do this without you. Now, where is Carol? Do I see her on the screen? I don't see Carol, so we're gonna put her down below. You know, some people in the last session wanted to know when they were going to tell. Other people just wanted to be surprised. I don't know what school you're in. I'm just getting a sign that said my internet connection is unstable. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Never fear. I've got my iPhone here. I got my iPad in the other room. So if that happens, just keep talking. I'll be back. So we want to start with that fantastic teller. And we're giving you this honor because you're the only male I see in the group. No, you know we love you. And Noel Bewley, we're waiting for you to tell your story about respecting your mother.
Okay, I'm going to begin quickly. My mother died 2 years ago. 2 weeks before my mother died, she told my daughter 2 things that she needed to know. The first one was for my daughter to never go into the restaurant business. The second thing was always, always, always be nice to everyone, even if they're a drunk at closing time. Always be nice. My mother grew up, going way back, my mother grew up on a farm, wood stove, wood heating, everything a girl would do on a farm or had to do. When she was one of 2 of her family who graduated from high school. When she graduated from high school, World War II had started. So she moved to Bowling Green to work in a factory that was helping the war effort. She worked there throughout the war, and then she met my father, who had come back from the war, and they dated about 3 months and got married. She didn't know at the time they met that my father and his brother had decided to build a restaurant. And they were building it kind of on their own. So they built a steakhouse, Bewley Steakhouse, on the south or north side of Bowling Green, Kentucky. And she and my aunt ended up doing everything in the world that had anything to do with the restaurant. If someone ordered a steak, sometimes she had to go downstairs, cut the steak, bring the steak up, cook the steak, serve the steak, and then cash the person out when they left. And their hours were 7 in the morning until 10 at night, 7 days a week. It's obvious my father and his brother had no idea how to run a restaurant, but they kind of helped my aunt and my mother run the restaurant. Well, about a year into that, my father got called back to the Army because he stayed in the reserves and the Korean War was on, getting ready to come up. Well, he thought the restaurant business was no good. So he kind of gave his half of the restaurant to his brother. He built a little grocery store, a country store near his parents' farm. And then they got the grocery store with the gas pumps going, and he went to Puerto Rico because he was in charge of war games. And my mother had a daughter and a son, me, in 1950, running a grocery store that she lived upstairs in and answering and pumping gas for people. The story was, in the restaurant, my sister would stand on a chair and look at the jukebox while it played. And I, at the grocery store, would sit behind the glass candy counter. And that ended up being that was my playpen, the candy counter. And how she did it, I have no idea. She was 23 at that time. My father came back from Puerto Rico, decided the grocery store business was not working for him, moved us to Indianapolis, where he got a job at Allison's. Another child was born, and my mother was pregnant again. And as we were going someplace, my little brother stepped on her leg and they found a tumor on her leg. And they operated and cut out the tumor, told my dad, you need to leave the service. You're going to be a widower within the next 6 months because this is a melanoma that's going to spread all over her body. Let's go back to the start. My mother died when she was 92. That tumor, whatever they did to remove that tumor worked. And she raised 4 kids on the east side of Indianapolis. And I could not respect anyone any more than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Noel. I kept thinking, but wait, but didn't he say, wait? Okay, I get it. That built up some suspense, Noel. Thank you very much. That was a good story. Carol, I was missing you, girl. Glad to see you. You were first on my list. Now you're second. Are you ready? All right, let's go.
Okay. My mom still walks. She walks 1 to 2 hours a day, and she is 94 years old. She has a 100-acre farm still. At least she gets to walk that part. The rest of it was sold to the Mennonites. And that's because, 30 years of no men in her family was a long time. And so somebody has to buy the farm, and the Mennonites are doing a gorgeous job. Yeah, she's still living in her house. So what are some good notes about how my mom did it? Respecting my mom? Well, here's some things I could say in respect, or at least admiration. She was self-sufficient. She was always a learner, and she kept walking. Here's some details. Mom learned to be self-sufficient when she was 12 years old. Her dad had a stroke. which meant that she had to earn her own pocket money. And if she wanted to go anywhere, to choir, to Girl Scouts, to anything, she had to figure it out herself. And she did. There was one interesting crisis in the good old earning days of walking door to door and selling magazines, was that somebody said, "But you're not a boy." Well, that canceled that job. But she did not quit. She prevailed. She got through Girl Scouts. She got the highest rank. She got on the train, the trolley, the bus. In fact, that train,
Okay, we don't hear you, Carol. Can you hear us?
on non-mute. Can you hear me yet?
I can hear you now. Okay, that train.
I adjusted the screen. Let's see if we can get me a little farther away. I've got this new fashion background. That's back at my old college. Okay. Am I still there?
Yes.
Can you still hear me? All
Yes.
right. I shall start from the top. My mom still walks. She walks 1 to 2 miles a day, 2 hours a day. She walks on the 100-acre farm I grew up on since 1952. She's 94 and she still lives in her house. So how do you get to that? That's where I'm going to give you my tribute speech or tribute presentation about how you get to 94. So the first thing is, Mom was very self-sufficient. When she was 12 years old, her dad suffered a stroke. He was an older guy when he got married. So the 12-year-old had to learn how to get on the bus or the trolley and get to Girl Scouts, get to choir, get to piano lessons. In fact, piano lessons were necessary if she wanted to play the chimes in the huge Baptist downtown church in downtown Syracuse. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Because it says my internet's goofy. All right, well, she did it. She took up a magazine route. And in the magazine route, she went from door to door, delivered her magazines, and everything was great until somebody said, "You're not a boy." Well, that canceled the magazine route, but she prevailed. She got to Girl Scouts. She got to the highest rank. She got to college. She paid for it. She figured it out. This was one self-sufficient lady. So what did she get her degree in? Chemistry. But she got married a year later. So what are you going to do with a brain that's all trained up to be a chemist? What she did is she became a naturalist, and she was a forever thinker and learner. Her dining room table even now still is cluttered with the 1964 encyclopedia volumes. They're very threadbare now. And we catch her up on what's the latest and important facts. But the encyclopedia is still working at age 94. She is an ornithology amateur bird watcher type person. Sapsucker Woods, which is Cornell, which is the #1 ornithology school in the country, is only down the road. So when she took ornithology as an elective in college, this handsome guy who lived on the farm she moved to eventually loaned her wonderful binoculars, and binoculars been busy ever since. So go figure, from 1950 till now, we've got 71 years worth of great binocularing. Did I get my math right? Yeah. Okay. So she also counts those birds and sends her notes to Cornell. They count how many come up every day at this spot, how many over this season, how many each year. Bird counting is an official hobby for amateur ornithologists. The scientist is prevailing. Now, take a look at the cookbook. Mother had to learn to cook because her mother didn't get around to it. And my grandma taught her how to cook, but my grandma was a pinch and dab cook because she's from the era of the Farmer Boy and Laura Ingalls Wilder books. After all, they only live 5 hours away from Malone, New York. Anyway, Mother, being a scientist, had to do it the right way. So every cup was measured precisely, and she has lab notes in the margins of her cookbook. And notes saying, this is the one they like. So iterations and iterations around the edge of the cookbook recipes until she gets it right. She is a scientist. Oh, yes, and the cat. We had a cat. We never spayed the cat because we're on a farm. 36 litters later, she has notes on every single kitten, how much they weighed in, and their names alphabetically kept for every single litter. 36 of them. Okay, now, what keeps Mom going? She is a walker. She walked when she was a kid. She walked when we did our family vacations. We don't go to the beach and lay around. No, we go to the national parks and we climb up the Washington Monument. She counted the steps. We go to the Statue of Liberty. She counted the steps. At age 84, Bob and I said, let's go on a walk up Watkins Glen. 832 steps. Yep, she's counting them. And she made it, of course. And then even when she was a parent, she did a part-time job, just like Noel talked about his mom being a worker. My mom was the vineyard manager when the purple grapes were going to be sent to Welch's. They were hand-picked, and they got onto yellow boxes, 50 pounds, onto the pallets, onto the truck, and sent to Welch's. You all have tasted Mom's grapes. Okay, well, walking really works because when Mom broke her hip, she's back on her feet and she's walking without any equipment 1 month later. And when she comes out of surgery, she's cracking jokes. Walking works. So Mom, here's my tribute to you. I'm going to keep walking. And I hope I make it to 94 and maybe a few steps more. Thank you. Oh yeah. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I got a crazy screen. It's a neat picture of my mom when she was a mom at 1953. Anyway, She looks the usual.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's my problem now. I can't do no walking. But I think about walking. I look at people walking and I'm jealous when they walk. You know what I'm saying?
We just try to be resilient our own way, right, Celestine?
All right, that's it. That's it. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Our next teller on my list is Beverly Williams. Beverly's in Chicago. So Beverly, are you ready to go?
I'm ready. Hello. This is a story that Celestine has heard a lot. I was an only child. My mother, she owned a bar and a restaurant. She also was a phenomenal chef. My dad, he left the war and became a bellhop, and then later became the concierge of one of the greatest hotels in Chicago, which is the Midland Hotel. He was the first and only African-American concierge. My parents got up every day. My dad got up at 4:30 every morning, left the house, went to work, never seen my parents sit and doing anything. My mother would leave shortly after, maybe about 4:45, 5 o'clock, and make sure that I get up and get ready for school. Of course, school was not at 5 o'clock, but I had to get up, I had to make my bed, I had chores to do. I got to the point where I got to be about 15 or 16. My mom said, Bev, have you washed the dishes? I'm going to do it. Never did. Bev, have you washed the clothes? I'm going to do it. Never did. Bev, my mom had special carpet in our house. Bev, did you do my carpet? And the way she liked the carpet was she liked lines in the carpet because we actually had a vacuum cleaner. I think I was the only child who knew what a vacuum cleaner was because everybody complained about, dang, every time I turn around, my mom would be like, did you sweep? Did you sweep? I'm like, shoot, all I do is turn the vacuum cleaner on. But I didn't even do that. I couldn't even do that. And so my mom said, Bev, you vacuum? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I was so spoiled where we had 2 telephone lines. One line was mine, one line was my mother's and father's. Because once they went to sleep, they did not want my friends calling and saying, hey, can I speak to Bev? Because my mother would cuss you out. No, you cannot speak to Beverly and do not call here. Again, I gotta go to work. Every time you turned around, my mother said, Bev, did you do? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Well, Christmas, my mother's favorite time of the year. Don't know why. Always had a Christmas tree. The thing went all the way up to the ceiling.
Susan's over here.
You couldn't even see the top of the tree because it was so tall. So it just touched the ceiling. She loved Christmas. It would be boxes everywhere. Sometimes it was 4 boxes. Nobody knew that but the family. But sometimes she would put boxes under there just for decoration because that's how much she loved Christmas. She loved all those fancy wrappings and making the bows look pretty. And you take the scissors and you curl up the ribbon, and the ribbon curl up. And my mother had tricks for making stuff look beautiful. Well, I'm telling you, that particular Christmas, I was like, yeah, I want this, I want that. My mother was like, okay, sure. Now, mind you now, remember what I said. Every time my mother asked me something, Bev, did you? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Never got done. Dishes piled up in the sink. Laundry laundry, my Lord, laundry. Because my mom she didn't believe in one pair of anything. She believed in 20 pairs of something. You're never going to run out. You're never going to run out. You're never going to run out. So that meant more laundry. My dad was a concierge. He had shirts. My dad always wore a t-shirt. He said, men don't wear shirts without t-shirts. So the t-shirts piled up. Everything piled up. My mom kept asking me, Bev, when you gonna do it? I'm gonna do it. And a lot of times my mom would come home and she would be, this how tired she would be. She would sit in the chair, literally asking me had I did my chores and fall asleep. So her head would do this. She'll bob up and down because she was so tired and she was sleepy. And she kept saying, Bev, did you do it? Bev, did you do it? I'm going to do it. Well, Christmas time came. I was still a kid, 15, 16 years old. I'm still a kid. I knew it wasn't a Santa Claus, but I'm still a kid. And I'm expecting these gifts to be up under the tree. I ran to that tree. It was empty, y'all. I said, oh my God, we got robbed. Somebody robbed us. So I went and I banged on my mother and father's door and I was like, we got robbed. My mother said, yeah, you got robbed. You didn't do the dishes. You didn't do the laundry. You didn't vacuum my floor. You didn't do nothing I asked you to do. You got robbed. Me and your daddy in here, we having coffee and opening up our gifts. Well, went to my grandmother's house and I was blue. I was, oh my God. My grandma was like, what's wrong with you, baby? You know how they do you know. What's the matter, baby? I said, I ain't getting that for Christmas. My grandmother said, and your mama didn't get no laundry, no dishes washed, and her floor was not vacuumed. You need to learn how to respect your mother. And ever since then, every time my mother came home, she said, oh my God, this house is immaculate. My father said, and guess what? She cleaned better than you. And that's my story.
Oh, that's funny. Thank you very much. Yeah, Santa Claus missed that address. All right, Julie, hey, how are you? You're next on my list. Are you ready?
I'm well, Celestine. I'm ready.
Okay, take it away.
Thanks. When I was in the 7th grade, I had a secret. I was going to private parochial school, but my family was actually millions of dollars in debt. We didn't know from one week to the next if we were going to get kicked out of our home. And the only reason why we had food for dinner was because the paper route money that we had as kids was used for the food bill. Nonetheless, it was report card day, and I happened to be the top student in my class in 7th grade. And report card day for me was always a good day. So, because it was one of the few times when I felt like a hero and not an awkward Indian kid in an all-white school, besides my sister, who was the only other person of color. Anyway, so 7th grade report card day comes, and you know the birds are singing, and the beautiful sun is streaming through the windows, and all is right with the world. And I watch each of my friends get their names called, and Miss Walker, our teacher, gives them their report card. And I noticed that my name never gets called. And so she says, has anyone not gotten their report card? And I raised my hand and I said, Miss Walker, I didn't get my report card. And then she said in front of the entire class, well, Julie, you didn't get your report card because your parents didn't pay your tuition yet. And we don't believe that people like you deserve this to be in this school. In fact, we're not even sure if people like you and your sister belong in this town at all. So I knew as a kid that something wrong had just happened, but I didn't know what. I did know I was going to catch hell from my mom, because if I told her I didn't have my report card, she would think I was hiding it because I got a bad grade or something like that. So I was home and I was watching my mom roll roti, which is sort of like the Indian equivalent of a tortilla. And her back was to me, and she was in this beautiful yellow canary sari, and I was sitting on the counter. And she said, "Jula, where's your report card?" And I said, "Mama, they didn't give it to me." And she said, "Jula, where's your report card?" You see, she always thought I was up to no good. And I said, "Mama, they didn't give it to me. They said that because we didn't pay the tuition, I don't deserve it. And they said Anna and I don't belong in this school, and maybe not the town." And as soon as I said it, I saw my mom's back muscles tense up. She looked straight forward. She turned off the gas. She said, "Julie, put your shoes and socks on. We need to go and get into the car right now." She went to the bedroom. She pulled something out of the bedroom. I didn't know what at the time. And off we went to the school. We get to the school and my mom is clutching her bag with one hand and she's holding mine in the other. We walk in and we see the principal, who happened to be talking to my 7th grade teacher, Miss Walker. And she said, "I need to speak to the two of you." And the principal says, "No problem. We'll have Julie sit in the waiting room and we'll take you in the back." And my mom said, "No, my daughter needs to hear this." So we all go into the principal's room. We sit down and my mom retrieves this little velvet pouch. And in it is this absolutely exquisite ruby, diamond, and emerald earring and matching necklace set. This was the last bit of jewelry that my grandfather had given her before he passed away. And because we were so, for lack of a better way of saying it, poor, she wasn't able to go back to India to say goodbye to him. So this was incredibly valuable to her from a sentimental perspective. From a financial perspective, it was also extremely valuable because it was the only thing we had left as a family that was worth anything. Everything, and I mean everything, had been put up for collateral to prop up my dad's business, which had been failing for the better part of a decade. And so my mom, nonetheless, my mom holds it in her hand, this beautiful pendant and matching earring set, and she says, "I believe this is worth about $15,000. And I think we owe you about $1,000 for Julie's tuition. You keep it. And if we're not able to pay Julie's tuition by the end of the semester, you keep it for good. And you will have been better off because we couldn't pay our bills." But then she said, "But if you ever disrespect my daughter again, if you ever make her feel like she is less than because she is different, or if you ever presume to hold her responsible for something that no child in this country is held responsible for, I need you to know I will make it my mission to destroy you." She says, "If I have to go on national news and tell everyone who you are, I will do it." She says, "If I have to climb Mount Everest and every step of the way tell everyone who you are, I will do it." She says, "If I have to build a spaceship and fly to Mars and tell everybody on that planet and this planet who you are, I will do it. Because I'll tell you two things right now. The two of you, you're definitely not Indian and you're not parents. Because if you were, you would know we don't let this kind of thing go." So needless to say, we got my report card that day. And I got an A-. My mom was really ticked off at me. And but I learned an incredibly valuable lesson. And that's that every time a mother demands respect, what she's really doing is making room in this world for her children. So thank you.
All right. That was wonderful. Did you get the necklace back?
Yeah, they didn't have the courage to take it in the first place. So we went home with it. So yeah.
All right. All right. That was wonderful, Julie. Thank you so much. Oh, I can see your mama now. Okay. Well, listen, the next person on my list is Francis Whitener. I keep messing up your name. Don't tell Rick.
All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. I appreciate help from my mother for the time when I was growing up in Martinsville, Virginia, when I was a young girl and I was getting older. I appreciate help from my mother, Mama, when I was when I was 24 years old and in my first year of graduate school at Ohio University. After the first year of graduate school, where I was majoring in directing at the school theater, I came back to Martinsville and went to see my ophthalmologist. I was having problems with my eyes and with my ears. I thought maybe the reason I was having problems with my ears was that was the reason that I was dizzy all the time. I was I had an ear infection or something. So the ear doctor saw me and he said, "No, you do not have an ear infection. You have something that is worse." Well, that's terrible to hear. But he sent me back to a neurosurgeon that I had seen a number of years previously at Duke University Medical School. I went to see that neurosurgeon again, and they did the tests that were available in 1974, not anywhere near the tests that are available now, but the tests that were very hard. And what those tests finally revealed was that I had a brain tumor. Well, this was terrible news because I had known no one who ever had a brain tumor who lived to tell the story. I had to drop out of the first quarter rather, of my graduate program at Ohio University because I had to have brain surgery in September of 1974. Then after I got well enough to come home, the ophthalmologist that I had been seeing had to start working on my left eye. My left eye was almost completely blind. I could see virtually nothing out of that eye. So I went to see him, Dr. Campbell was his name, almost every single day for months. And gradually, my eyesight started to return in my left eye. I was looking forward to January of 1975 arriving because I wanted to return to graduate school. I had a play to direct. I had friends there. But there were people in the family, namely my grandmother and grandfather, the parents of my mother, who thought it was a bad idea for me to return to living by myself in Athens, Ohio, at the university. They said, she may get sick again. She may need to see doctors again. She'll have no one for her roommates. How will she get help if she needs it? And maybe they weren't the only ones who said that. Nobody said that to me, but maybe other family members, neighbors, and friends thought the same thing, that I really needed to stay at home in Martinsville. But Mama disagreed. Mama thought I had been working so hard to get my eye well, the doctor had been. She thought I needed to return to graduate school. So we worked to get things together, to get packed, to get ready to go in January, because she obviously said to the others, don't say a word to Francis about this. If you disagree with this, you talk to me. And in January of 1975, Mama drove me back to Athens, Ohio, helped me to get checked in to, not checked in, to rather moved in to my little apartment there, stayed with me for several days, and helped me to get my things ready, to get food bought, to go to the grocery store, to arrange the apartment, to buy all the things that I needed, and to help me get back together so I could start school again. And then she drove home. I finished graduate school in 2 quarters, the winter and the spring quarter. I was very proud of myself for doing that. And at the end of the spring quarter, after I had actually attended the graduation ceremony, I went back to Martinsville. I didn't hear about Mama's conversations with Grandmama and Granddaddy and many other people for many years after that. But I have always appreciated so much and respected my mother for not giving up on me, but holding out and helping me to finish my degree. And for that, I will always be grateful.
Oh, that's wonderful. Perseverance. That's wonderful. Thank you, Frances.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
The next person on our list, but like before I mention her, I want you to know that next month on June 16th, our theme will be Camp Tales. So Michelle, you might have to stop being a judge and tell some camp tales. I don't know. We could switch, you know. At any rate, our next teller is Toyah Moore. Hi, Toyah.
Hi, how are you? So I'd like to start by saying I'm a mom, but birthing is not my ministry. Hashtag unoccupy my uterus. So this tale is the harrowing tale of how I became a foster mom. So picture it, Sicily, 1854. Now, Hartford, Connecticut, March 30th, 2006. I'll never forget it. My phone rings at 6:53 in the morning. I know it's 6:53 in the morning because I looked at my phone, and everyone knows that you get the best sleep in the 10 minutes before your alarm goes off, right? So I muster all of the awake that I could pull together, and I answer the phone really cheerfully. What? My girlfriend is on the other end, and she's saying, "Hey, can you meet me at the hospital?" I'm like, what's going on? She goes, "I'm in labor, and Donald, her husband, is away on business." I'm like, "Girl, I got you." So I get up, get the information, run to the hospital. I don't meet her there. I beat her there. So I am arguing with the lady at the receptionist says, "No, my friend is here and she's got a big stomach and is probably going to have a baby come out of that sometime soon." And then I see her come around the corner with her 18-month-old in tow. And she's walking. And I'm like, "Wait, why are they letting you walk around? Why are you not in a wheelchair?" And she was like, "Oh, I drove myself." Wait, what? We just drive ourselves to the, no, we don't do that. So we get her admitted, and then comes the time to administer the epidural. I politely, or maybe not so gracefully, exit the room because I don't do needles, and apparently they have to administer an epidural with a lance. It was huge, this needle. So she gets her epidural, I get back into the room, and then the nurse proceeds to give me birthing instructions. She's like, "Okay, so I think we're almost ready to push. So here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna give you her leg, and then you're gonna push against her, and she's gonna push against you, and then a baby's gonna come," right? So I'm like, engineering brain, right? Okay, got it. Throw, push, I push, she pushed, boom, baby. Listen, I am on this. So that happens, and it's go time. So she gives me my friend's leg, and I don't know why, but I look. And I thought two things. The first one was, she's not wearing underwear. I don't know why I thought she should be wearing underwear, but she wasn't. And then the second thing, I actually said out loud to her, I said, "That's not your natural hair color." So now the nurses are upset with me because she's laughing and not pushing. And I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm back on my job. I get leg, I push, she pushed, boom, baby, we got it. So we do one round of leg, I push, she push, no baby, But they say he's crowning. He's got a head full of hair. I don't know why, but I look. And it was at that moment that I decided that I would unsubscribe to this mailing list and cancel my membership to whatever was going on underneath this curtain. I don't want to do this. That's not my thing, right? So I am focused on her eyes for the remainder of this childbirth. And they're like, oh, he's got shoulders. And I was like, girl, they say he got shoulders. I'm not looking. So we do a couple of more. I push, she push, no baby. I push, she push, no baby. I push, she push, boom, baby. He's here. He is healthy. He's got great lungs. He's beautiful. He's perfect. And in that moment, I am in awe of every person who has ever delivered a child. There is not a day that goes by that I am not painfully aware that my title, mom, comes on the heels of sacrifice and trauma of other women. But it is their work that gets them to get their children back and be a mom again. To them, I say, much respect.
Girl, you had me dying laughing. And I think that's why I don't have no children, because the more I found out about where they came from and the whole process, it just gave me the heebie-jeebies, okay?
Listen, no thank you.
Thank you so much. That was hilarious.
Welcome, it's my pleasure.
Okay, Sandy Lomax. Hey, girl. You're next on my list. I see Lomax Ewing.
Yes.
How you doing? You ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
All right. So I will always respect my mother because she was very, very smart and intuitive. As children, we used to go over our aunt's house. There was 5 of us. We would go with our father sometimes, and we would go with our mother sometimes. My aunt lived less than 5 minutes away from our house, and that was the only place Daddy could go with 5 small kids that he wouldn't have to worry about what we were doing, where we were going or spend any money. So we're over at Anna's house. My aunt's name was Anna Cato, but us being children called her Anana. So Anana was a very interesting woman. She was big boned, and she had beautiful long white hair that she would always braid. And she sat on the edge of her bed always, and she could reach and pull anything you might need. If you needed a brush, she could lean down on the floor and bring up a brush. She had a little tin full of coins if you needed to pay the paper boy. She had an envelope that had money in it, greenbacks. And she also had some silver tweezers. Now she would pay me to pull hairs out of her chin. And I got a penny for each hair that I pulled out of her chin. And my daddy would always ask her if she had a hit. That means that he wanted to get a little nose full. So she would go down on the floor, come back with a bottle of gin. And I really think that's why Daddy liked going over there. We went over there about 3 times a week. All right, so also my aunt lived in a big, beautiful house on the corner of 29th in California. And she took in boarders. So upstairs, there were 3 bedrooms that she rented to these 3 guys. These guys were mysterious, and you could see their shadow walking up the stairwell, and it was very, very quiet. So on this particular Saturday, my mother took us over to Anana's house. And us kids, it was 5 of us, we would play with each other in the dining room, around the dining room table, up underneath the legs, playing. and Mama was in the kitchen, and Aunt Nana was in her favorite spot in the back room on the edge of her bed. And all of a sudden, we heard a man's voice. He was very upset. I don't know if it was something to do with his rent or his room was locked upstairs from not paying rent, but he was coming down the stairs and he was furious. And he walked into the dining room where we were playing up underneath the table. And he said, "Where is she?" And Nana came out of her bedroom, and the man walked up to her and cut her throat from ear to ear. And Nana fell back in a chair, and the top of her blouse started to turn red from her blood. And Mama came out of the kitchen and saw what was going on. The man turned around and ran out the front door. Mama went to the freezer and pulled out a metal ice tray, and it had a handle on it. So she popped to release the ice cubes. And she held the ice tray in one hand, and she grabbed Nana's throat and pulled the skin back and dumped the whole ice tray of ice down her throat. And then she lifted her skin up around her chin and covered her head in a towel. So needless to say, us kids' eyes were wide open with fright as we sort of gathered around the window to stay out of the way of what was going on. Mama said, "Dial 0." Back then, it wasn't 911, you called the police. So she called the police, and the cars pulled up, and Mama told us to let them in. And she held that towel up to Aunt Nana's throat, keeping it nice and tight. The police came in, asked what was going on. Mama said, "Hold it, hold it, hold it. You have to move and let these paramedics through." So they came in, and it was two of them. It was a man and a woman. And the man walked in, the paramedic, and he looked and said, "Who did this?" And Mama said, "I did." And he looked at her and said, "You saved her life." Because the ice had frozen everything right there. So they came in and took her Nana, put her on the gurney, and rushed her out the front door. And all the while, the paramedic was walking back, just amazed at this first aid. Now, Mama never really had any first aid training, but growing up on the farm, you really see almost everything. And when I think back at how she knew to do that, you know, at the spur of the moment, makes me say that I respect my mother because she was very, very smart and she was intuitive. She had horse sense. She knew what to do. Thank you very much for listening.
Girl, that was something. Thank you. That was a story. That was a story. Woo-wee. Okay. 29th in California. What was that in this city?
Yeah, Indianapolis.
Okay. I don't know what California is. Okay.
From Northwestern, down the street from the old 7-Eleven.
Okay. I know where it is now. All right. Woo, y'all got some stories tonight. But our next teller is Miss Portia Scholler Jackson. Portia, you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Can you hear me? All right. Respect your mother. I'm going to tell you, mothers are very peculiar people. It doesn't matter whether or not it's your birth mother, it could be your adopted mother or extended family kinship. Mothers do their best with the resources they have available to be fulfilling, nurturing, and loving. Now, I've been through a situation in my life where I've been told a many a day that I remind them of my mother, that I sound like my mother. The way my dishes turn out reminds some folk of my mother. Now, the one thing I do know, that in emulating one, not because I don't respect my mother, but that it was never in my dream to be a little Rochelle. And I have my reasons. And people who express to me their opinions about me reminding them of my mom, I tell them, I was born in the Bible Belt, and I believe what the good book says about respect thy mother and father so that your days will be long and prosperous. But did they really take into hand that mothers do some strange things to their children? And I'm not talking about loving them. I'm talking about how they will bathe you. I'm not talking about Johnson & Johnson baby oil or their no-tear soap and shampoo. I'm talking about when my mama takes her index finger or her thumb, puts it to her tongue, and decides the imperfections on my face, be it the corners of my mouth, the corners of my eyes, or my cheek, that she takes her spit and bathes me. And that's okay. And all I can think about it, why I am grossed out, I'm fidgety, and I'm fussy, and I'm human. Respect thy mother. Now, I can think of things and times when my mom has tried her best to share with me good etiquette, whether or not it's manners at the table, yes, ma'am, and no, sir, and how to respect my teachers. But often I do things. Sometimes I'm making the first mistake of the day. My mom has been known to call me some names that I will never forget, like idiot. Didn't know what was one, but I must have been one, or she wouldn't have said it. Then she would talk to me about being an imbecile or a boisterous little busybody. I mean, did she ever think that these things could be piercing my heart? But no, all I can think is, no matter what my mama calls me, I must respect my mother. And then, let's just think about it. There are times when your mom makes you so frustrated when she won't let you do something that you really want to do, and she can tell you there's no reason that you need to know because you don't question her authority and you don't say why and what. You have to know that whatever the mom's decisions are, you must respect thy mother. Now, I know there are things that I do that I learned how to fold towels, so I must fold them like her. I learned how to play the piano, but hey, I went kicking and screaming. I learned how to make skillet chili, and I make it thick just like her with spaghetti noodles. And I think, oh, that is like my mother. But then there's some things that my mom does that I know is nothing like me. It's not that I'm being disrespectful, but really, my mom would eat some of the most grotesque things. Like, who wants to eat okra and corn mixed together, succotash or not, or any other weird element of hoppin' john with black-eyed peas and cow peas, rice, and red peppers? That's something I just cannot stomach. But then let's talk about liver and onions. So even to say that I'm like my mother, I definitely do not have the cuisine in my imagination or in my taste buds that I want to emulate the stuff she will put in her mouth. No, no, no. And I'm telling you, I do respect my mother, and I appreciate all that she's done for me and to me. Will I always think that I'm an idiot? Yeah. Do I still detest the spit baths? Yes. And do I make my kids eat weird things that nobody else eats? No. So in emulating and being just like my mom, I'm telling you, I rebel with the thought of it, but I'm still respecting her. I think that she is so genuine in her own right that she deserves to be herself and no one else be like her, especially not me. Mama, I respect you, but I don't want to be like you.
Thank you, Portia. It happens to every last one of us. Something will come out of your mouth that sounds just like your mama. Thank you. Now we have another teller, but I want to remind you that on May 22nd, this Saturday, that John McCutcheon will be down at the, wait a minute, am I reading this right? Is having a virtual performance. I don't want to send y'all someplace that no one will be there. He's a folk singer and a storyteller. Tickets are available at storytellingarts.org, and think about attending. Listen, this is another one of my friends. I haven't seen her since, oh, I can't tell you in person. It's been years, but we keep up on Facebook. She's always flying here and flying there. It tickles me when she says wheels up. I said, oh, wheel. I didn't know that terminology. So I heard Mary Jo Huff put it on her Facebook page. And Mary Jo is our next teller. Hey, Mary Jo.
Hi, Celestine. My wheels haven't been up very much lately, but I'm ready. I got 300,000 air miles. I'm fixing to go someplace. Respect your mama. I had a lot of thinking to do about that because my mama was such an influence in my life. I'm nothing like my mama. I take after my daddy's side of the family. But you see, my mama taught me to stick to my schedule. She used to tell us, we have a schedule and we're not deviating from that schedule. Did you hear me? I'd say, yeah, mama, yeah. And so they lived in town in Evansville, Indiana. They lived on a street at 210 Harriet Street. Today it's a parking lot for Berry Plastics. They've torn down the whole neighborhood. I happened to be there the day that that house went down. I have no idea why God had me go down that street, but there I was with my camera taking pictures. And a lot of memories shot out of that house falling down. Well, my daddy moved us to the country. Now, he didn't take my mama to see the house. He just came home and he said, I bought a house in the country. Mom loved the country. And so she was tickled to death until she got there. And when she got there, it did not have a bathroom. It had an outhouse, and it wasn't close to the house. It was out yonder, out back. For many, many, many months, we had to use that outhouse. And then one Saturday night, my daddy's friends had had a little bit too much to drink, and they burned that outhouse down. And where we lived out near Darmstadt in the country, the wagon came with horses to put that fire out, and all these people from that area who had no idea who had even moved in there. They soon had a lot of rumors going on about the demise of that outhouse. Well, when we moved, I had gone to kindergarten in town, and I was going to go to the first grade. And so my mama made arrangements for me to go to St. Boniface in Evansville, but I had to get on the yellow school bus and ride for 10 miles. But the worst part was I was the only kid on that bus that did not go to high school. And so the bus driver felt sorry for me and put me in the front seat. That lasted for 3 years, back and forth, with many stories in between there. And one day when I came home, Mama said, I found a new school. We found a new church. We're going up to St. James and see if we can enroll you kids for next year. I had a brother and sister. They were 3 years younger than me. They were twins. So we went to this little country church. There's not a town. There's just a curve in the road. at St. James, and that's all that's there is that church and that school. So when the 4th grade started, I was kind of leery. I didn't know anybody, and I didn't know any of the kids that lived out there and the farming people. And I found out real quick I didn't fit in too good either, because my maiden name was Abernathy, and all their names were Steckler and Adler and Schmidt. They all related. They all knew everybody. And there I was. I felt very alone. And so did my brother and sister. We talked about that a lot. But Mama found new friends and found church friends. And she learned how to quilt. And she would go there and quilt all the time when we were in school. And she worked at the summer social. And she was in charge of her own booth. It was the noodle booth. That's the biggest thing coming down the pike, was to be in that noodle booth. And so I met my best friend there, though. My best friend's name was Kenny. He has since passed away, but he's still a big part of my life, because when we got there, we neither one fit, as I told you, because our daddies were used car dealers. We couldn't even talk to those farm kids about being part of a used car dealer family. They didn't have a real good reputation. We didn't realize that when we were young. And Kenny was the oldest of a family of 10. So he kind of fit into that Catholic thing, you know, but his name wasn't any better than my name was. So school out in the country was different, a lot different. And no matter how hard I tried, I never ever felt like I did fit in. And so that was another 10 miles north. I gave up 10 miles south to go 10 miles north. It was a long haul. Mama had me join the 4-H. She wanted me to learn how to do things, to cook and to bake and to sew. So we would go over to the Schershinger's grocery store, and Mama would get chicken feed, because we had chickens. We had 14 chickens and 1 rooster, and we had to go get eggs every day. But when we went over to get the chicken feed, I got to pick out what chicken feed we were going to get, because I was going to get something new from that chicken feed cloth. I either got a new skirt or a new top, and Mama was going to teach me how to sew those things. I didn't know that when I wore those clothes, it labeled me, that other people would look at me and know that that was feed sack material. Never knew that till I was a grown person. Never even thought about it. So I want to tell you that my mama died at 93. She was a mover and a groover. At 64, she lost a leg in an accident. That's a longer story than we've got tonight. Her big oval picture hangs in my bedroom with a lavender outfit on. My mama ended up going to beauty school and opening up a beauty shop in their home. And every morning when I get up, I put my feet on the floor, I turn around and I make my bed, because that's what my mama said you had to do. As old as I am, I still do that. I nod at my mom and I say, got her done. And every night before I go to bed, I look at that picture and blow her a little kiss. And you know what? You can go to sleep mighty easy when you've had a mama like mine that you can respect for almost every day of your life.
That was great. We're going to have to figure out a theme to hear about that other story, though. That was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Listen, let me remind you guys that next month on June 16th, the topic is camp tales. And I can tell you how I don't go camping, so that will be a tale in itself. And of course, this is co-produced by Indy. This Indy Story Slam is produced by Freetown Village and Storytelling Arts of Indiana. And I want to thank our sponsors one more time, Jim Obermaier, Sally Perkins, and the Nicholas Noyes Jr. Memorial Foundation. And of course, our media sponsor, WFYI. And I'd like to thank all of my tellers who came here tonight and told stories. Well, you know, sort of came here tonight, who zoomed in tonight. And spread the word. Encourage some more storytellers to come join us. I tried to talk a couple of people into coming in, but they were scared. So anyway, once they see this, they'll know how easy it is to sit down and tell a story. Well, at this time, I'm going to have to tell you who our winners are. Drum roll, please. Da-da-da-da-da. Our third place winner is Toyah Moore. Congratulations, Toyah. Our second place winner is Beverly Stewart Williams. Congratulations, Beverly. And our first place winner is Julie, Lawani? Tell me your last name.
It's Lawani.
Lawani, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
These are some fantastic stories. I had some serious reactions to blood and guts and fantastic jewelry. And I got to hear the story about that leg later on. And the fact that you went to grad school at Ohio State, your mothers were fantastic. And Beverly, I could see you doing that to your kids, taking away their Christmas presents. The stories were fantastic. I'm going to thank again Michelle, Alice, and who else was doing my stuff tonight? Becky, hey, how you doing? Thank you for helping us out. And don't forget, if you want to hear a singer and folk teller, John McCutcheon, virtually this Saturday, check storytellingarts.org and get your ticket. You were wonderful tellers. Anything else you want to tell them, Ella?
Nope.
She says, no, I'm out of here. Okay. Listen, it was a wonderful evening of storytelling. Thank you so much. Give yourselves all a round of applause.
Amen.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Peace and blessings.
Same here.